Hello, everyone. Wow, welcome to a Tuesday live stream. I don't know if we've ever had a Tuesday live stream, but here we are, joined today by Scrimba teacher extraordinaire, Bob Ziroll, who's
Hi.
here, hello, Bob, to talk all about React, TypeScript, tech conferences, and anything else you want to ask, which brings me nicely to this question. Do we chat here or on Discord? So for context, on Tuesday, we usually have a bit of a chat over on our Discord channel in our town hall, but we're not doing that this week. We're doing this instead. So to answer your question, Beetle, right here seems like the place to be. So yeah, questions for Bob, or you just want to say hello, drop them in the chat and we'll get talking. Bob, do you want to start by running us through the courses you've released, let's say this year, and the ones which are coming soon, TM?
Yeah. So I think I started out early in the year with a release of an introductory TypeScript course. And it's actually the course that currently exists is section 1 of 3 sections. So I'm going to have 2 more sections eventually that I'm adding to it. But while I was in the middle of recording it, React 19 came out, or is like on the cusp of coming out, was announced. And so we decided to switch courses, change lanes, and put the rest of the TypeScript course on pause while I was working on a What's New in React 19 course. And so that was kind of a mini course. I think that one's only about an hour long. Yep, 66 minutes. And so that one, released that one, has a bunch of cool information about all the new stuff in, or the most, I guess, impactful stuff in React 19. And then that prompted us to look at redoing the introductory React course, which I think probably most people know me from, because it's our big free offering on Scrimba, one of our big free offerings on Scrimba. And so I'm redoing that course. It's kind of funny because not actually that much of it is different from the original one. So, but that's because React 19, the new stuff introduced into React 19 is a little bit more on the advanced side. And so it might affect the advanced course, but the introductory course is essentially the same as it was. But you know, it looks funny for people coming to Scrimba and seeing that the React we're teaching is 2 versions behind. And so we don't want anybody to be dissuaded by that. So updating the course from scratch, re-recording from scratch.
Awesome. So I guess the question on a lot of people's minds will be what are the main changes or features coming live with React 19 that we should be excited about?
Yeah. Well, if you want to go over to the React 19, I'll need a little refresher because it's been a minute. Yeah. So I start this course by teaching a topic called use transition. It's a new hook from React 18. Excuse me. But it wasn't, I never introduced it in my other courses in the introductory or the advanced React course. But understanding transitions in React is crucial to understanding a lot of the new things that are coming with React 19. And so we start by learning about use transition from React 18.
Gotcha.
So that's, I think it's a good catch up. It even says there it's a React 18 catch up. We touched briefly on the React compiler, which anybody who has gone through some kind of advanced React course or anything that talked about performance in React, they've probably heard of use memo, use callback, react.memo, some of these performance improvements that we as developers have had to manually do whenever there's performance issues with our React apps. And React compiler kind of does away with a lot of that. essentially it looks at your code beforehand and it does all that performance optimization for you. So
Nice.
super, super nice. I don't think we're currently set up on Scrimba to run the React compiler, but as Abdella is working on backend stuff, I suspect that eventually we'll be able to run a compiler step beforehand. So that'll be really nice.
Super cool. So will everything learned here be in the new re-record of Learn React, or will people be advised to do both courses?
This stuff is a little on the more advanced side than what I plan to cover with the introductory to React course. So I don't think I'll cover any. I might talk about form action, but I need to figure that out as I'm going through it.
TBD.
I'm not quite yet to the forms section, but forms in React are historically just all kind of awful, and so form action and use action state and use form status. Those new React 19 hooks and features, they make forms in React much more bearable. So maybe I will introduce it in this new React 19 course. Once I get there, I'll have to figure it out.
Looking forward to that. So is that to say, well, you say forms in React will be bearable. So that's promising, at least.
That's as promising as I can make it.
Looking forward to that. Anasem03 says, I feel like it's so undervalued how much Bob affected people's knowledge about React.js. I can only say I'm so thankful for that. Yeah, absolutely.
Well, good. Yeah, I'm glad.
You says, I just wanted to take a moment to thank you for being such an amazing teacher. Your lessons have truly made a difference in my learning journey. You've made complex topics easy to understand.
That's really good to hear. I remember when I was first learning to code, and I'm not. It doesn't come to me intuitively. I've met a lot of younger people who they start learning and it just clicks for them. They understand it. And there's a lot of topics that I struggled to understand that looking back, I'm not sure why I struggled so much, but I think a lot of it had to do with kind of a poor pedagogy, a poor approach to teaching. And so I used that in my, I guess, as my inspiration. I try to remember what it's like and just break things down as much as I can. And hopefully I can continue to do that.
Do you remember what kind of topics they were that you had the biggest problems with?
Yeah, I mean, even when I first started learning, which I think a lot of people start on Codecademy, this was, I guess, would have been in 2012 or 2013. As soon as I got to JavaScript, I think this is a lot of people's stories, right? They do HTML, they do CSS, they get addicted to it, they're hooked. It's, relatively simple, although CSS positioning throws a lot of people off. And then you get to JavaScript and you have to think through a for loop. And I think it's the first time when time doesn't work the way you think it works in programming, and you're going backwards over the code again and again, and having to try and reason about that. I remember that being pretty challenging on the Codecademy courses. And then also not knowing where to start, not having great direction, I think, can be really difficult. So I remember taking I did some of that HTML and CSS and JavaScript on Codecademy, and then I jumped over to start learning Ruby. But that course started me like by creating a GitHub repository, and I just felt really lost. And so I empathize with everybody who's in the beginning phases, because I know that sometimes you're just taking one step at a time and the light is barely shining right in front of you, and you have, you're walking by faith pretty much as you go forward.
Yeah, totally. Do you remember how you overcame these issues?
For me, it was just time. I did attend a boot camp in 2013, and I remember our instructor saying that for him, it wasn't until 2 or 3 years in that he finally felt like he could produce a feature on his own, without a lot of hand holding. And so on the one hand, that made me feel like, oh, this is going to take forever. I can't believe it's going to take me that long. On the other hand, it gave me kind of a light at the end of the tunnel, and gave me some hope that I wasn't, even when I was 1 year in and I still felt like I was trying to figure stuff out, it didn't, it gave me hope, I guess, that it was going to get better. And it did. Right around the 2.5 year mark, I think I finally was able to like produce a feature on my own without a lot of hand holding. And I think some people are going to probably be a lot faster than that, faster than I am. But time, I guess, time and practice is really what makes all the difference.
I think that's really interesting because there's something about the 1 year mark where I remember feeling at that year mark like, well, I should have it down now for reasons I don't know. Just something about reaching a year instead of a number of months. But yeah, that's not the case for many, many people. So things take time, especially learning to code.
Absolutely.
I'm not sure I've ever asked you this, Bob, but how did you get into coding to begin with?
Yeah, so, oh gosh, it was like back in middle school. And this is definitely going to date me. But it was like around the era of GeoCities and Angel Fire, and I bet nobody has any idea what I'm talking about. but like the first sites on the web where you could create your own website and upload HTML code with an SSH client, and like CyberDuck SSH client, just sending files from your computer to another computer. And I had a friend who made his own Dragon Ball Z website, like fan site, and it was so dumb. It was such a 90s website. And I was like, that's so cool. And so I started tinkering with that, and I like put up my own little Dragon Ball Z fan site because I had no originality back then. And yeah, that was like probably the first time that I did any kind of programming. I also was into like programming little math helper apps on my TI-83 plus calculator. You could actually like create your own little programs right there on the calculator. And
yeah, I remember that.
yeah, and so I it was like for my trigonometry class or something, my calculus class, I would put down formula helpers, something that would just remind me what the formula was, so I could look up the formula right on my calculator. And so that was really fun. That was probably I can't remember if that was first or if anyway. MySpace, I think a lot of people that are old enough remember MySpace. You could program your own like backgrounds for your MySpace page, and so I didn't consider it something that I could do professionally until after college, after university. I ended up realizing that what I studied, which was advertising, wasn't really what I wanted to do, and so I eventually found out about boot camps. They were going to be way too expensive. When I was in advertising, I did an unpaid internship in New York City, which is a very difficult city to live in unpaid.
Yeah, I bet.
And so all the boot camps at the time, the very beginning days of boot camps, like 2012, 2013, were in either San Francisco or New York City. And so there's no way I was going to be able to not only be unpaid, but pay lots of money to be there. And then I learned about one in my home state of Utah, and ended up attending that boot camp. That was in 2013 or 2014. 2014.
Nice.
2013. 2013.
And the rest is history. And just going over to the chat, pop in and say hi. Let us know where you're tuning in from. Few questions. Has the React 19 course already been worked on? I think what this means, correct me if I'm wrong, Anas M03, asking if this course is already live which it is, you can search Scrimba React 19 and there it'll be. And I'll give you the link here. And what's coming up next is our, let's say, traditional Learn React course will be renewed, I suppose, with React 19 content, but that isn't live yet, but coming soon. Hope that clarifies. And Bob, your voice makes me want to learn more React. Really.
Good. Keep learning React, or go take the TypeScript course. I'm also talking in that one.
Indeed. So this is 1/3 of what will one day be a 3-part course. This is news to me, actually. What will the other 2 parts be about?
Yeah, this first section is all about just the syntax of TypeScript. So I found when I was learning TypeScript that there was a lot of conflation about TypeScript in the DOM, TypeScript in React, TypeScript just like what's core TypeScript. It's kind of like trying to learn. It's kind of like trying to learn JavaScript by starting with React. That's how it felt to me, learning TypeScript, but only in the context of React or only in the context of JavaScript with the DOM. And so the first section is just the core language portions of TypeScript. The second section is going to be TypeScript with regular DOM operations, the whole document.getElementById style, stuff pre-React. And then the third section will be TypeScript in React. And so we'll actually start building stuff with React and using TypeScript along the way, and kind of figuring out when it's important to use TypeScript, when you can like let TypeScript do its own inference, stuff like that.
Brilliant. Looking forward to that. And that's all going to be available on this page, is it? Or is it going to be separated out?
No, I think it will be added to this course. So it'll still be Learn TypeScript. I could be wrong. Maybe Per will have a different idea, but I think at least the section that's currently there and using TypeScript in the DOM, those two will, I'm almost certain, be a part of like the Learn TypeScript course. And then I guess there would be a possibility for like Learn TypeScript in React to be its own separate course.
Or maybe both. Who knows? But anyway.
Yeah, could be.
More TypeScript is on the way, but this is already live, so go and check it out. I must stop and say hello to Debjit. Debjit is a long-time watcher of the Scrimba live stream. Good to see you back, Debjit. Oh, that's nice. Yes. Harsh would like to know, I've learned a lot from Scrimba. I want to know, will there be a backend related topics too in the future, like Node or PHP? What do you reckon, Bob?
What's our timestamp? 8 minutes in? That's pretty good.
18. Oh,
18?
you're going when it was
no. For this message, yeah. We made it 8 minutes before someone asked about backend. Backend is actively being worked on at Scrimba. There's been working prototypes, and I know things are actively moving along because it is the most requested thing. Course for Scrimba is some backend related course, usually either Node and Express, or Next.js. And so Abdullah is, I know, working pretty hard on those, and we want to make sure we get it right. And so it's obviously, it takes a long time. I think a lot of people don't maybe know about the technical challenges that are involved in getting backend to work on Scrimba, because Scrimba is not videos, right? If we were just doing videos that were like dead pixels recorded on our screens, we could of course do backend just like anybody at YouTube. I could run backend code on my computer and just be recording my screen. But because Scrimba is interactive, everything has to be able to run in your browser. And so the technical challenge is getting a backend environment to work in your browser and to be speedy enough that it feels like the regular Scrimba experience. Places like Code Sandbox have backend support But if you've ever run backend code on Code Sandbox, you know it's slow. Like it takes a while for it to spin up, and that's just a technical barrier that the way that they've implemented requires them to take a little extra time for backend code to run. And so we're working hard on making that experience feel like a regular, quick, interactive Scrimba experience.
Yes, it is on the way. We're not just holding it back for fun.
I'm really excited to start prepping the backend courses and getting those out the door.
Yeah, gonna be great. On the topic of much requested features, probably I'm sure the second most requested feature after backend courses was captions, which we now have. We do have captions, which I will show you now. Here we are. This is Bob's TypeScript course, Learn TypeScript, Defensive Coding. Sounds exciting. But anyway, as you can see, when I press play, you won't hear anything because it's muted, so we don't get audio chaos. But we can read the captions. I think I'm running it at 2x speed as well.
I was going to say, that's so fast.
Bob doesn't really talk that fast. And you can see them on Scrimba courses with this CC button. Turn them off and on to your heart's desire. So that's a good progress, I think.
Yeah, I think that's an example of OP, like the whole restructure of the Scrimba, behind the scenes in action, because they worked really hard on restructuring just how Scrimba was working and the systems behind Scrimba. For those that maybe aren't as familiar, Scrimba is written in a proprietary, like a new language called Imba. And so Syndra, the creator, was working on, releasing Imba 2.0, which then allowed them to create a framework, which they call OP, which is then implemented into Scrimba version 2. So it's been this whole journey of updating Imba, then creating the framework, and then rebuilding Scrimba in that framework, so that new features could just be super fast when they were launching. And I think closed captions is a good example of that. It seemed, at least to me, the turnaround on getting closed captions out was really pretty quick. So yeah, kudos to the dev team.
Totally. Shout out dev team. If you're interested in learning Imba, you can find the docs at imba.io. And we even have, to complete the circle of life, a Learn Imba course on Scrimba. So you can learn about the language Scrimba is written in. This is kind of boggling my brain. On the platform, which is written in that language.
Yeah.
Super cool. Prod wants to know, is this the new TypeScript course?
Yes.
It is.
Yep.
This one right here with Bob's face on it. It is the latest TypeScript course. When did it come out, Bob? I don't remember now.
Oh, boy, I don't either. I want to say it was like February or March, maybe.
A few months ago. Not long, anyway.
We had the original course by Anya Kubo, and it was just time for a little refresh. So this is replacing that one. I think that one's probably still available somewhere, but
yes, as is the nature of coding, constantly getting new things. Speaking of new things, you may have noticed this certificate of completion at the bottom of all the courses, because certificates are now available for all Scrimba courses, which is a pretty big deal, I think.
Where's your little cheer sound effect?
Yeah, I know. I haven't got it. It's been so long since I've done a live stream. I need to get my soundboard back.
I've got 8 buttons on my soundboard, but I have no idea what sounds they make. So I'm
that's risky, isn't it?
I think one of them is the jingle bells from one of the JavaScript misses that I recorded.
Oh, festive.
Yeah.
Beautiful. Beetle. Thank you for sharing that you experienced those beginner's uncertainty issues. Yeah, definitely. So just because it doesn't click at first doesn't mean it won't in time. I think that's a really good thing to remember. with anything really, but definitely with coding. What do you reckon, Bob?
Absolutely. And I think it takes it for a lot of people, it takes longer than you might think, which is where imposter syndrome starts to run rampant, and some people will just quit because it is hard, and it's meant to be hard, and that's why developers are generally paid pretty well. And it's also difficult if you're starting in a self-learning journey instead of going through university for it. So there's a lot of hurdles to be overcome, but honestly, if I can do it, I think a lot of people can do it. I'm not that special when it comes to my ability to learn or anything. I'm just kind of a regular Joe. So yeah, don't give up. But also don't like suffer in silence alone. It's really important. One of the three, I would say, one of the three pillars of Scrimba's success is our community, and having a community of people that you can turn to and ask questions and get answers. And we're so worldwide that whatever time zone you're in, whatever time of day it is, somebody is awake and somebody is on the Discord server, for example, or we have our forum that you can ask questions in. So yeah, take advantage of the community. It's one of the best ways, I think, to get rid of insecurity and imposter syndrome, and to push forward and not just kind of be stuck with your wheel spinning.
Yeah, definitely. There's the link to our Discord community, which is online right now and indeed always. Scrimba.com/Discord. Come in and say hello. We're a friendly bunch. I kind of want to go in order with questions, but there's a burning question now that I really want to know the answer to. I'll save it for later, Stephen. Yes, this is a bit of a technical conundrum. TypeScript doesn't infer .map or .filter methods arguments when working with React. Is it normal? Is that a well-known issue? Or
honestly, I have no idea. I haven't done too much yet in TypeScript with React, so I have a bit yet to learn. That surprises me because I think it's pretty aware of different array methods and what the callback function is supposed to take. So yeah, I'll have to dive into that and make sure that I include it in the React portion of the TypeScript course if it is something abnormal for TypeScript.
yes, thank you for flagging it for us there. Oh, look at this. Abhishek, thank you for teaching me React, Bob. I'll be forever grateful to you. Yes. Thank you
Thanks
for
for that.
dropping into our live stream.
Yeah, I appreciate that.
Giuseppe, the TS course by Bob is a lot more interactive, and in particular, explains why TS may actually be useful. Well, that's good to know. Why may it actually be useful in brief?
That's true. When I was preparing for the course, a lot of the materials that I consumed didn't get people excited about TypeScript. They just dove right into the syntax of it. And my approach was that if I can get students excited about the benefits of TypeScript, rather than just saying like, well, you got to learn it because you got to learn it, then like your motivation, TypeScript is easily demotivating. And so I wanted to make sure that all the students understood, like, this is going to help you. It's not just like I'm checking this box. I'm using TypeScript because a lot of places require you to know TypeScript. It's it actually makes your life better. I think
Good
one
to
of
know.
the yeah, it seems like at first it seems like this is taking me longer and it's making my life worse when it comes to coding. But my approach in this course is we wrote a whole program just in JavaScript. And I like intentionally threw in some common mistakes along the way that were not at all highlighted by JavaScript. And then we simply changed the file extension to TypeScript, and like all those problems were highlighted. Well, a bunch of those problems were highlighted. And so that was the approach that I took. I was hoping it would be a little different than every other course that I saw. So it's good to hear that it's people are jiving, I guess, with the my intention of having it be, make you feel good about TypeScript instead of bad about TypeScript.
Just, yeah, one of those things in life, like, I don't know, the periodic table that you have to learn, but you're never quite sure why. This course will tell you why and tell you about it. So go and check it out. Super cool. Lumiyuko, any plans for a Redux Toolkit or Zoo Stand course? These are required by tech companies, even for junior developers. I can't say I've actually heard of Zoo Stand. Have you, Bob?
Yeah, I've heard of ZooStand, and I have heard so much feedback from people about Redux Toolkit that it's making me reconsider having a separate course for Redux Toolkit. I had in the US, like my worldview is relatively limited when it comes to like what jobs are expecting and jobs are requiring. That's my own fault. I haven't looked internationally for job listings to see what people are requiring. In the US, as far as I know, most companies have moved on from Redux and have kind of weeded it out of their code bases. But what I'm hearing pretty commonly is that internationally, it's still pretty, I guess, in demand. And so my decision to remove Redux from the was it the advanced React course to the new one? I can't remember.
So,
I removed it from one course to its refresh. And yeah, I've gotten quite a bit of, I guess, feedback that says, hey, we still want Redux because people are asking for it. So I think it will be on my radar. Like it will be something that eventually will find its way back on a Scrimba, some kind of Redux course. It'll likely not be a part of a React course, but it will just be its own course. So there's no formal plans for it, but it's definitely on the back of my mind because of the feedback that I've gotten from you guys.
good to know. Yes. Hello to those of you just joining us. Puya, hello to you. And Yulia V has shared this intriguing emoji. I think it's 2 heart eyes and some very happy teeth. So hello to you, Yulia. Now, this is a fairly big question. TS is included in the front-end roadmap or a separate course. So what this question is referring to is Scrimba front-end career path. This is our flagship course on Scrimba. Erwin's asking, is it in there? Which currently it isn't. But, ... Bob, will it ever be added, do you think?
I don't know. I honestly don't know. I am concerned, like the concerns I have about it, there's pros and cons. The concerns I have about it, one, technically speaking, we would have to re-record everything in the whole career path. And so it would be a very difficult thing to just introduce into the beginning because then we would have to have everything else after it already prepared in TypeScript. Secondly, I really am concerned about people conflating the core of JavaScript with what TypeScript adds to it. And I guess there's an argument to be made that like we just don't need to do that. We don't need to know the difference. Just learn TypeScript from the beginning, and it will solve a lot of kind of common issues that people run into. But I'm still concerned about it. So kind of thinking through that. I suspect what will happen is we will pick a point toward the end of the career path that we put in TypeScript if it ends up in the career path. Or there will be sort of a continuing education that happens at the end of the career path where people can pick what their next course is going to be. So they get to the end of the front end career path and they can augment it with knowledge about TypeScript by taking a TypeScript and a TypeScript in React course. They can move on to Backend and start learning Node, Express, and or like even Python or Ruby or some other kind of backend offering. Or they maybe move on to like a full stack track where they continue their React education with something like Next.js or Remix. So long term, I envision those being options, but I do have some concerns, and I see some technical challenges with just throwing it in somewhere in especially anywhere in like the first 2/3 of the career path, not just on our side of having to re-record everything, but trying to make sure people aren't conflating TypeScript and JavaScript.
Yeah, I see that. And I think it's a bit symbolic, really, of learning to code in general. There are so many paths you can take and different ways you can do it that, there's no absolute truth, I would say. But anyway, the course is available on Scrimba. Should you wish to learn TypeScript, it's all there, just not in the career path as yet. Now, technical question here, which is rather interesting. John, I've been playing with this software because I haven't used it for a while, and I'm discovering new features that do unexpected things. Anyway, John, while observing some discussion on button logic recently, some people seem to indicate that event listeners in their JS file are superior to onclick methods used in the HTML. Do you have any insight, Bob?
I don't know. That's tricky because, I mean, when you have event listeners in the JavaScript, you can, I think you can more easily remove the event listeners if you ever need to. The logic is a little more separated. Like you have the markup dealing with the markup, and you have the JavaScript dealing with the interactivity. And so I can definitely see some benefits in that. The reason I hesitate is because once you start learning React, you kind of put it back into the markup, so to speak. It's, event listeners are not added upon, but rather like coexisting with your React components. And so I don't know. I don't find myself doing like a ton of regular DOM manipulation JavaScript anymore. I typically, even for small projects, I can't think of a great reason not to just be like, well, React is so much faster for me to work in. I'm just gonna like build this landing page in React, if it has interactivity, of course. So it's I think doesn't matter too much. But yes, I think there are technically reasons that doing something like add event listener in your JavaScript gives you some more flexibility than what you might have in just an onclick in your markup.
Yeah, that's a very good point. Thank you for the thought-provoking question. Paul has completed Bob's TS course. Very good for getting a foundation of how TS works. That's
awesome.
Yeah.
And give me any feedback. For those of you, like, reach out to me on Discord and let me know, like, hey, this part was confusing, because the course is still a work in progress. So I'm happy to go back and clarify anything that was difficult, or if you think like, oh, this would have been a great example to include here, please let me know. Reach out to me on Discord.
Absolutely. Venkat here is saying, are you upgrading the React course with React 19? Assuming you mean this one, Learn React, in which case the answer is yes. Currently, that's what Bob is working on. In the meantime, you can check out this one, which is, I'm hesitating. It is free, isn't it, Bob?
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, which is also free, to give you an intro to React 19. And then very soon, our Learn React course will indeed be updated. And one question here from Ankit. If anyone knows JavaScript, how difficult will it be for the person to learn TypeScript? And how much time on average? What do you reckon, Bob?
Ooh, I couldn't say. I mean, learning TypeScript is one of those things that will, the rabbit hole can go as deep as you want it to go. Kind of like JavaScript. Like I can't I've been writing front-end code for 10 years now, and I can't say like, oh yeah, I know all of JavaScript.
Yeah.
And
Because there's
so,
always new stuff coming. So it's like you can never reach
yep,
the top of the mountain.
yeah, yeah. And I just haven't dedicated myself to learn every last little API that exists in JavaScript. And so, um, so it's kind of a fuzzy end, I guess. It's hard to say like, I now know it perfectly. Um, So yeah, I would say as far as difficulty goes, hopefully my course can mitigate a lot of the difficulty that I found when I was learning TypeScript. I try to make it as approachable as possible. Um, Obviously, each person learns in a different way, so it's hard to just say like, oh, it will be easy for you or it will be hard for you. Um, and then my course is my TypeScript course is I think 2 hours long, and that should give you a good grasp uh, on the very introductory parts of TypeScript, and then we'll like apply TypeScript to the DOM and React in those later sections that we talked about. If you include the time that it takes to like work on the challenges throughout, I bet I want to say 4 to 5 hours it'll probably take to do the course, but that's a total guess. Maybe someone who has taken it can give me I guess a better estimate of it. And then just practice, like just keep writing it, like choose to any code that you write. If you're wanting to learn TypeScript, any other code that you write, just always use TypeScript. Even if it feels like I'm going to get stuck a bunch of times, this is going to take me way longer than it would have. ChatGPT is very good at TypeScript and very good at answering TypeScript questions. A lot of times I would just copy my code, paste it in, and then copy the like TypeScript warning or error that it was giving me, paste it in, and it would like explain what was wrong. And it was a great way to learn, as long as you don't just copy and paste the answer and not actually understand what happened.
Yeah. Good. Thank you for that. Matt Root says, I'm very happy learning at Scrimba. Yay. Good to hear. Clifford wants to know, is it okay to write basic web apps in React rather than vanilla JS?
I think it is. I know in the beginning days of React, there was a big concern with bundle size and how much you're sending down to the client. And I think if your users tend to live in areas that might have slow internet connections, then it could legitimately be a concern, and you might have to kind of hyper optimize your app's performance. In which case, maybe React is overkill for what you need. That said, especially with some of the like server side React stuff that's happening, a lot of that can be mitigated, and so we're kind of coming to a point in the React ecosystem where enough server side processing is happening that you can send down as little as possible to the client, and it will perform kind of similarly to having just a static page, like an HTML and CSS page. And then, of course, if you have some interactivity, that has to be included as well. So, the server-side React stuff generally expects that you're using a framework like Next.js or Remix. But one of the things that I talk about in my performance section of the Advanced React course is not to prematurely optimize your stuff. Like, don't spend so much time and effort into making it like as fast as possible if the speed really isn't a problem for most of your users. So I think it's okay to just write a basic web app in React. I also think it's fine to just be like, oh, this is going to be like 2 button clicks that I have to handle, so I'm just going to do it in HTML, CSS, and JavaScript because it's going to be so much faster and easier to do that. I think we're kind of at a point where it doesn't matter too much, unless you have, unless this is your income and you need to optimize it so that you increase your user base. I don't think it matters.
Good to know. One question here, which I think comes up a lot with, well, maybe not a lot actually, but anyway, I've definitely seen it before. I feel like I've jumped into React way too fast since I've skipped DOM manipulation, JavaScript fundamentals. I'm feeling quite lost. Any advice for this learner, Bob?
Yeah, I have some experience with this, having worked with students at the bootcamp that I used to work at, where they also were taught in a way that was like they just started with React. In fact, I hear of bootcamps even today that they teach HTML, CSS, and then React. And it feels like a disservice to me to jump so quickly into React because it's so easy to conflate what is React and what is JavaScript. And when eventually, React dies out, or, we move on to the next big thing, or you decide you want to learn Svelte or whatever it might be, if your core fundamentals aren't in check, then it's going to be a difficult transition and a difficult career.
Yeah.
I think that at Scrimba, we do a decent job of giving you a lot of time in the basics of HTML, the basic fundamentals of HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. And, you build a number of projects, and you build, you do a lot of challenges along the way that by the time you get to React, you've had lots of, like, you've got JavaScript under your belt. Like you've achieved that level of knowledge that you need. If I can recommend stuff outside of Scrimba, which I think Scrimba's a decent, I think Scrimba is the best place to learn front-end web, of course, but I think a great way to get additional practice in your JavaScript is to go to a place like Front-End Mentors. Is that it, Front-End Mentors? Or is it Front-End Masters? I always get them mixed up.
I think Mentors is more HTML and CSS, isn't it?
I think they have some interactivity stuff with JavaScript as well. So maybe I don't know, maybe I'm wrong, but still, even to get the fundamentals of HTML and CSS, front-end mentors. And then I really enjoyed Wes Boss's JavaScript 30 course. It's a free course. It is paced to do one project a day for 30 days. And I think that's a great way to make sure that you have gotten your fundamentals if you want additional practice beyond what Scrimba already offers. I think Scrimba has enough in it, but if I were to recommend outside resources, I've always liked liked recommending Wes Boss's course.
Yeah, and here is our Learn JavaScript course on Scrimba. If you have not done this yet, I would strongly recommend that you do. It's fair. Makes a lot of sense. Okay, well, time to wrap up now. Thank you for all your thought-provoking questions and for coming along to watch. I will finish with the big burning question from Steve, which is Mac OS or Windows for coding? Which do you prefer?
Yeah, you can code on whatever machine you want, and it really, in the end, doesn't make too much of a difference. I have a Mac because I like the Apple ecosystem myself. I like that it uses a Unix-based operating system. Like whenever I open up a terminal, I can write in the same kind of lingo that I'm going to use if I open up like a DigitalOcean virtual server, which is Unix-based. And so, but it's not that much more to learn a Windows-based one, or to just get a Unix-style shell running on your Windows machine. So you use what you have. You don't need to wait for a new machine to start your front end learning, unless your machine is like a Raspberry Pi, in which case you might be struggling.
I know some people who like to code on a phone, so it can be done.
There you go.
Good. Well, yes, thanks again, everyone, for coming along. And thank you, Bob, for taking time out of your busy schedule to chat to us all. I suspect we'll be having more live streams here on the Scrimba YouTube channel very soon. So if you haven't done so already, hit that subscribe button and then you'll see it appear in your YouTube feed, hopefully. Any closing thoughts for the wonderful watchers at home, Bob?
No, just keep plugging along, keep learning. Don't take too long of breaks between your learning sessions so that it can all stay fresh, and engage in the community. Get involved, and it'll really keep you on your path. This is advice for people looking to transition careers. So just keep at it.
As Michael Rocker says. Thank you. Okay, have a great day, everyone. Speak to you again soon. Bye.
Bye, everyone.